with SRN News. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. At the Pray Vote Stand Summit here in Washington, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said this week he's committed to fighting left-wing transgender ideology.
It is wrong to tell a second grader that the student may be born in the wrong body or can change their gender. It is not true. It is not appropriate. And if I have to stand up to the biggest, baddest companies like Disney to be able to protect our kids, you can count on me to do what is right.
Scientists in Great Britain and Belgium think they may have figured out how brain cells die in Alzheimer's disease.
A study published in the journal Science has connected the abnormal proteins that build up in the brain with necroptosis. It's a process also known as cellular suicide.
That's the BBC's James Gallagher reporting. You'll find more on these stories at srnnews.com.
WTBN Pinellas Park, WTWD Plant City, WLCC Brandon.
Faith Talk Tampa. Online at letstalkfaith.com or listen on TuneIn and Odyssey.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Today is Saturday, September 16th. The law office is open and we are here to help. 877-943-9673. Someone just give a call now. I just want to see if the phone lines are working. If you guys could have seen the flurry of activity immediately before going on the air, I just wanted to make sure those lines are up and running. So 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. We really ought to look into doing like a podcast pre-show. I think some of our pre-show conversations are pretty interesting. I know other shows have, like after shows, but we could have a pre-show. And I think that people would be entertained by some of our commentary and decision-making we discuss regarding on-air content. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah. Let's put it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. Put it everywhere. Put it out.
How much worse could it be, right? So,
Exactly.
All right. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number. I'm your local Central Florida attorney, Patrick Smith, and we are live and local. Happy to help any way we can. Call in with your legal questions. We do this every Saturday morning as our community service to you, where you can call in and get free legal advice. 877-943-9673. You're listening on one of 15 or more stations right now throughout the Florida area. And that number, again, to be part of the show, Brian, the call screener, standing by, 877-943-9673. Or you can always email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. Again, that email available 24/7. You can email me directly, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. And you can also check out our website, attorneypatricksmith.com, where you can submit appointment requests. You can submit a request for bookings to have us come out and speak to your group. I have a follow-up on that. And you can also check out podcast of previous radio shows if you want to do that. All available absolutely free of charge. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673 to be part of the show. And again, the website, attorneypatricksmith.com. So I want to start off with a very special thank you to all the residents of Kings Ridge who turned out yesterday. We had a packed house there in the Monte Carlo room, and absolutely capacity crowd there, and wonderful Q&A. Lots of great questions about reviewing estate planning documents and how often that should be done, what events should trigger that, and lots of conversation about, moving between states and kind of rebutting the myth about documents being invalidated just by crossing state lines, and, reviewing them not for validity, but to make them more efficient, and reviewing them in light of, deaths within the family, and just making that point that, the biggest mistake in estate planning, people don't do it, but a very close second is people don't update what they've done. So we would encourage you to make sure you get with your estate planning attorney and periodically review and update your estate planning documents. 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local. And the number, if you want to book us to come out and speak to your club, group, or organization, that number, 877-754-6764. That's the toll-free office line. I'll give it out a few times here during the show. Lots of people requesting that we give it out more frequently during the show. So the number again, 877-754-6764 is the toll-free office line. You can call the office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And any member of the staff will be happy to schedule us to come out and speak to your club, group, or organization, or if you want to book your private consultation with me, Attorney Patrick Smith. But to be part of today's show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local. I see that they're queuing up calls. Yumiko, while they're queuing up our first batch of calls, go ahead and get that clip ready. I want to give a shout out to all of the judges that we have. We work a lot with judges, and oftentimes judges aren't appreciated as much. So I wanted to give the judges a little love and attention on today's broadcast by focusing on a very special and very unique judge. This is a Judge Ciccatelli, who has a rather unusual nature of operating from the bench. Yumiko, why don't we go ahead and play the clip, and then we'll sort of unpack it on the other side of the clip.
I got a question for you. Does that mean I still can't drink on probation?
Did you take your dumb pills today?
Judge Cicconetti, known for his unconventional sentences, boasts a mere 10% repeat offender rate compared to the national average of 75%. 18-year-old Victoria Bascom, who evaded cab fare for a 30-mile ride, her options were 30 days in jail or walking 30 miles.
I ended up almost getting jail time, so I guess I'm kind of lucky he gave me this option.
A man who solicited a prostitute was given the choice between jail or public humiliation.
It's very humiliating, very embarrassing.
A teen who stole adult content faced unique consequences.
I'm thankful that Judge Cicconetti gave me an opportunity instead of a jail time.
After pepper spraying a Burger King employee, a woman had to choose between jail or experiencing pepper spray herself.
They get in jail, they get smarter criminally. The offenses become greater.
Tell me what you think of Judge Cicconetti's sentences. Are they good or cruel and unusual?
All right. So there's Judge Cicconetti with his unusual sentencing guidelines, but you have to look at the result, that recidivism rate, average being 75% and Judge Cicconetti's being significantly lower. According to Michael Roth, a criminal justice professor at Sam Houston State, author of a book, An Eye for an Eye, in his book, he discusses that not all crimes are the same. Therefore, the criminals of different crimes should face different punishments. He is quoted as saying, punishing everyone for the same crimes is ludicrous because each perpetrator and situation is different. Ohio Judge Michael Cicconetti, the judge from the video, gives out uncommon sentences. According to Judge Cicconetti, I typically use these creative alternative sentences for younger people who are more impressionable at least somewhat remorseful, and are usually first-time offenders. The philosophy behind it, he goes on to say, is that whatever punishment they choose, it's going to prevent them from coming back to court at some other time. So there's lots of unusual sentences there, and it's a kind of a question. When we're looking at the public policy behind sentencing, are we punishing, are we reforming, or are we doing both? But you see Judge Cicconetti there with an approach saying that we're focusing more on having people not repeat the same crime twice in a similar offense. And we've got some other cases throughout the United States where judges are employing this Cicconetti-esque strategy of non-traditional sentences. So if you have a question or comment on this, or maybe you've heard of a judge, or maybe you've received an unusual sentence from a judge, feel free to call in 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and we're going to go to our first caller. We're going to go to Stan in Tampa. Stan, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hey, Patrick. This is Stan DeFreitas, actually.
Hey, Stan DeFreitas.
Mr. Green Thumb. I just wanted to put a shout out there to, I kind of practice what you preached. I came to see you, and of course, I had listened to you, so I knew that I could like and trust you. And you were so gracious, and your office staff is so great. I finally decided I should have a trust and a will. And I just wanted to tell folks, if you've been on the sidelines wondering what you should do, you ought to think about giving Patrick L. Smith a call.
Well, Stan, I appreciate the official Mr. Green Thumb endorsement. And you have a broadcast tomorrow, correct, at 8 a.m.?
We do. Sunday morning, page 9 will be on. And as we're going to be switching to doing some video podcast in the future, but I've enjoyed my time in radio for the last 40 years. I was going to say 2.5 years ago, I almost died when my heart went out. I had to have a new heart put in. And if I died at that time, and I was a little bit worried. I thought if I die and I wake up and I see all my friends with their asbestos underwear on, maybe I went to the wrong place. But if that had occurred, I wouldn't have had a will or trust. And I've seen it with so many people. Gosh, your life would be really hard, not for me, but for the people you leave behind.
Well, Stan, again, I appreciate your kind words and your testimonial, so thank you for that. And we're all glad you're still here, and good luck with your broadcast and whatever the future may hold for you, Mr. Green Thumb.
Well, I'll see you in a week or two here, and I appreciate your kind assistance, and I'm hoping other people will give you a call and give you a try.
Well, thank you, Stan. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
See you, bud.
Yes, sir. All righty. That was Mr. Green from Stan DeFreitas, 877-943-9673, friend of the show. And actually, when we started doing the broadcast, I think, in addition to Bill Bunkley, I think it was Stan DeFreitas was like the first or second, he may have even been before Bill, to invite me on his show, and Brandon Rhymes. Everyone was so fantastic. And Mo from Cat Named Mo Show invited me on his show. Just everyone's so welcoming when we started doing the show and embracing us. And that's really indicative of the radio community. It's wonderful how supportive everyone is of everybody else's shows. So give Mr. Green Thumb a listen tomorrow, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. If you want to be part of today's show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673, toll-free line to the law office this morning to get your free legal advice. We're discussing Ohio Judge Cicconetti and his alternative or unusual sentencing guidelines. And we got some other examples. According to Off the Record, this was a judge also out of Ohio. And in what sounds like out of a Joe Pesci movie, a landlord by the name of Nicholas, and this is a Greek last name, so pardon me if I butcher it. It is Dionysopoulos. I think I got that right. Who owned over 40 rundown properties in Cleveland, was sentenced to 6 months house arrest in one of his units, where he presumably experienced a series of wacky pratfalls before finally realizing the error of his ways. And oh yeah, by the way, he was also apparently fined $100,000 out of Davenport, Iowa, running out of patience with longtime criminal Pacino Hill, 29. Judge Christine Dalton sentenced the man to 8 weeks of church So you're hereby sentenced to attend to the congregation of your choice, along with counseling and probation within 10 months. You ready for this? He was on trial again, this time for vehicular manslaughter in relation to a home invasion. But wait, there's more, and involvement in a separate stabbing. So you'd like to think that the church sentence would have had a little better result than that, but apparently not. So that according also to Off the Record. So there's some examples from around the country. So Peter the Intern, you heard in the clip, by the way, 877-943-9673, your number to be part of today's show, 877-943-9673. You heard in the clip that we played from Judge Cicconetti. Would you do the pepper spray? If the punishment was 60 days in jail or pepper spray, which one are you picking?
I'm picking 60 days in jail. No way. No, I'm not dealing with that pain.
You're sure? Because right here, I actually have
pepper spray,
bear spray.
No, bear.
So I didn't know if we could do a little experiment this morning. So no, okay. So you said 60 days in jail. So you didn't make the right choice. So, but yeah, it's great. It's interesting to see judges out there kind of questioning the traditional sentencing guidelines and looking for, I guess, an eye towards a more effective result in reducing recidivism rates, which I guess is the ultimate goal of the criminal justice system, is to reform in addition to, restoring and making society whole. Because I think probably that's the best thing in restoring to society, a rehabilitated offender. That's probably the best thing for society. So 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. This is Attorney Patrick Smith, and this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. You can call in now with your live local legal questions. Open phone lines. Brian, the call screener, standing by, and the usual crew here, by the way. Yumiko, the producer, and obviously Peter, the intern, is here as well. Speaking of Peter, the intern, Peter, you, on your own, came up with some other examples. So we sort of started with Judge Cicconetti specifically, and then sort of did a couple other national examples. You came up with a list of 8 unusual Florida cases. So why don't we run down your list? I'll describe the crime, and then you tell everyone the unusual punishment. And again, I want to invite anybody out there who's heard of an unusual sentence or punishment handed down by a judge, or if you've received one, we'd really love to hear from you. The number to be part of the show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. All right, so crime number 1, according to Peter the Intern's list: woman evaded police and willfully drove recklessly because being arrested was on her bucket list. Peter the Intern, the punishment.
The punishment should be suspended license for 6 months and hosting a neighborhood car wash to pay off her fines.
She had it as a bucket list item to get arrested.
And she was 19. It's not like she was 70 or 60 or older. No, she's just starting her adult life. 19 years old, says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swerve through all 3 of these lanes, get arrested.
Okay, let's agree that being arrested on your bucket list is just foolish. And then you certainly could get arrested other ways that endanger lives less than driving recklessly. So, yeah, that was the actual punishment, or that was the punishment that you came up with?
That's the punishment that I came up with.
So these are real crimes.
These are real crimes and Peter Owen punishments.
Peter, Judge, we're saying Peter's not a judge, everybody. So I'm saying judge in quotes. Owen. Yeah, the fake Judge Peter Owen punishment. So man arrested for throwing a hot dog at a police officer. So that would be battery on a law enforcement officer in St. Petersburg. So right here, right down the road. In St. Petersburg, a police officer approached a hot dog vendor and inquired about his license to sell hot dogs from his cart. The man became agitated and, quote, tossed a hot dog at the officer. See, it sounds to me like there's the debate. Did I assault him with it, or did I toss him a hot dog? He was arrested with a felony charge. Yeah, battery on a law enforcement officer, felony charge. Peter the Intern, your punishment.
My punishment, if he did actually toss it, should be serving hot dogs from his cart at a police officer benefit or at a police station open house.
When I read this, when you sent over your show prep, police station open house, what is that?
Well, I know firehouses have that. I don't know if police stations have
just
it. Or
come
if they
on
have like
in,
a family day. Sit in the back of the squad car.
Check out the cell.
Mhm.
You know, just see what it's like. Make sure it's the right fit for you. You know, so the open house at the police station. So if you're a law enforcement out there and you know of an open house at a police station, let us know so Peter the intern can attend, please. 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number to be part of today's show. 877-943-9673. We started with Judge Cicconetti out of Ohio and his unusual sentencing where, you know, my favorite of that entire list of Judge Cicconetti's was the lady who skipped fare on the 30-mile Uber ride, and then she actually had to walk 30 miles as the sentence. And I was like, man, that is a great example of the punishment fitting the crime. And I think that young lady will think twice before she skips fare again. So obviously highly effective. And now we're going down Peter the intern's alternative punishment list. Number 3 on Peter the intern's list. Woman blew through a traffic checkpoint, finally stopped by the officer pulling her over. You're kidding me. Took a selfie and then sped off again when the officer exited his. This is a real crime.
Mhm.
What part of the state was this in?
This was in Tampa.
So this is Hillsborough County. And again, woman blows through a traffic checkpoint. So clearly there's going to be blue lights, cones, maybe some flares or something. It's clearly marked. So she knows what she's doing, finally stopped by the officer. Then she takes a selfie and then speeds away again. So it sounds like she's got felony fleeing charges at least. So, all right, Peter the intern, let's hear it. What's the sentence?
I think her punishment should be attending a safe driving school and handling a social media campaign for that safe driving school.
I like that you did what you did there is that kind of sort of equal balance, because that safe driving school, that's pretty rote. I mean, that's a very traditional sentence. I can hear that coming down a lot. But the handling a social media campaign, clearly she loves social media. So let's channel that energy towards safe driving school. That untraditional part, I like a little more, maybe an apology to those officers and the people at the checkpoint for, I mean, that was extremely dangerous. So 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. If you have any legal questions at all, we're here to help. 877-943-9673 or email me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Number 4 on Peter the Intern's alternative sentencing guidelines list, the crime. Man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing alligator through we'll just say a fast food chain drive-through window. He threw an alligator. Well, you really did a deep dive into these to find these fact patterns, didn't you? So, all right. So, Peter the intern, you drive through, assault someone with a deadly weapon, that deadly weapon of choice being an alligator, and you toss it through a drive-through window. The punishment is
a year of working in an animal shelter, but I also said I think jail works too, because that's kind of, I mean, throwing a gator in there. If I was working and I just see this alligator walking around in the kitchen, I
like the animal shelter idea because it's probably like a not-for-profit or no-killer shelter. But I thought the logical choice there would be like a sentence to work at Gatorland.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, to be the guy that goes on the zip line over the alligators, you know, while they're feeding them the chicken carcass. So, I mean, maybe that would have been, you know, given proper respect for the healthy fear of alligators and not toss them through drive-through windows. So 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number to be part of the show. Continuing on with Peter the intern's list, Florida man breaks into jail to hang out with friends. And folks, according to Peter the intern, these are all real cases. So Peter the intern, what's the crime? Oh, that's the crime. What's the punishment?
30 days of solitary confinement.
Well, that seems appropriate. If he was just trying to hang out with friends, you gave him his wish to be in jail, but denied him his request of hanging out with his friends because he's in solitary for 30 days. So 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now, live and local. I'm Attorney Patrick Smith, host of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and we have multiple offices to serve you throughout the state. Again, those offices include Sun City Center, Sarasota, Clearwater. All of those offices can be reached if you want to schedule your complimentary consultation. That number, 877-754-6764. Again, the toll-free office line. If you want to speak to us about scheduling your complimentary consultation or booking us to come out and speak to your club or group, 877-754-6764. 967-943-9664. That's your toll-free office line to talk to us today, live on the air. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. All right, let's continue on and work our way towards finishing up Peter the intern's list. Man, I think you meant quit. Yeah, man quit man quit fast food job, we'll say, and steals all their chicken nuggets. So people really do these things.
Yeah.
All right. So he quits. He takes all the chicken nuggets. Your punishment for him.
Working at that fast food restaurant until he pays off all the loss and fines incurred.
That feels lazy. That feels a little lazy. I mean, you're sentencing back to the place he just quit
to work without pay, because it was only because this guy posted pictures of it on social media.
Oh, he did.
And it was only 2 bags. So like, I feel like it would have been just a few fines.
See, but it seems to me like there's a lack of appreciation for the chicken nugget. So I think like sentencing him to work at like a poultry farm, teach him what it's like to actually work with chickens. You ever been on a farm?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know that like low man on the totem pole works the chicken coops. Let him work chicken coops. There is no smell, and you will remember that smell. That is one of those unforgettable smells, like the smell of death. Chicken coop smell is unforgettable. So I think a better punishment, maybe this too, but also spending some time working some chicken coops would teach him to appreciate how valuable those chicken nuggets really are. All right, 877-943-9673. Peter the intern, this segment's really gone off the rail. We're talking about chicken nuggets and appreciation of chicken nuggets. 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now, live and local. Let's go to Sarasota and talk to Gary. Gary, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Good morning.
Hey, Gary.
My question is, my daughter had a dispute over easement, and the property owner that the easement goes through has disputed it, and we're wondering they claim it never showed up on their survey or title information, and would the title company be responsible for that mistake, or how would that work?
Yeah, it sounds like it. You probably want to consult with a civil litigation attorney or a real property attorney who does real estate closings and underwriting of title insurance. It'd be a review of the policy and see whether or not that's covered, Gary, but more than likely that would be a claim on that title insurance policy if that went undiscovered.
Okay. And my second question is the federal mandated safety equipment on the vehicles, such as hands-free and bags, airbags, and that sort of stuff, are the manufacturer dealer responsible for those repairs or failures, or does that come out of your own pocket when that happens?
Well, just tell me in sort of a Socratic method, Gary, what do you think the answer to that question is?
Well, I think it should be. That's what I think. But sort of like the fuel one, for emissions is covered by it. So for my own pocketbook's purpose, I would say it should be. But,
and Gary, just to connect the dots for everyone else out there, your logic being the federal government requires these things, therefore the federal government should pick up the tab for the repair of these federally mandated safety equipment protocols. Is that right?
That's what I would, yes, that's correct.
Well, let's be clear. The federal government does a lot of things, but one of the things they often do not do is allow logic and reason to cloud their judgment. And so I think what you're doing, Gary, I like the rationale. I think it's a great rationale, but I'm guessing that the federal laws drafted on that kind of say you have to do it and you're going to maintain it. That would be my guess on that. I don't have that particular law memorized, but I like your thinking, but I don't think it's going to be a situation where you're going to prevail with the powers that be. But of course, you can write your congressman, and maybe we can do a feature down the road on the show about how Gary from Sarasota got this law changed for everybody.
Okay, and my answer to everything at this point is bummer.
Well, hey, Gary, let me ask you this. What do you think of Judge Cicchinetti's alternative sentencing guidelines?
I think that's terrific, because I tried that with one of my younger siblings when she was getting in trouble in school. stealing and lying. I was going to put the billboard thing on her, and to make her wear it at school. But the do-gooders beat me out of it. So
okay. So so you were going to put a sandwich board?
Board, yes.
Like advertising?
Yeah, I'm a thief. Yeah, I'm a thief and a liar, and make her wear it to school. But like I said, you can't do justice anymore. You got to do what they call it.
Soft parenting.
Baby, no, baby-um or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Gary, let me ask you this: have you ever lied before?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, at least you're honest about that. So should we make Gary from Sarasota wear a sandwich board for lying?
If it was in the present, I would say yes.
Okay, so Gary from Sarasota, next time you lie, I expect a picture sent to the show of you standing along. Yeah, standing along. Yep, exactly. Along University Boulevard, safely on a designated cross or side street area with your sandwich board on, confessing to everyone your sins. That's a very scarlet letter strategy you've got there, Gary. But anyway,
well, I can only remember when we were kids, we got into a mess, and we went to the juvenile place, judge, and he just goo mommy this, and the slap on the wrist. There's about 5 of us from the neighborhood, and so when he flushed the courtroom out, my dad rounded all us kids up. Well, us 2 brothers, me and my brother, took us back in front of the judge, and he goes, "Now, put the wood to him."
So your dad goes back in front of the judge and said, "Hey, Judge, I have a problem with your sentence." And the judge says, yeah, what's your problem? It's not enough. I need you to hit him with a little more. What was the judge's response?
Well, this was like one of the toughest judges on earth down here in Sarasota at the time.
All right. Well, don't say that. Yeah, don't say the name, but tell me what the ultimate outcome of this story was.
He read us the riot act instead of the slap on the wrist. And, you want to wind up prison. You want to, wind up somebody killing you. You want to read us the complete riot act. And we went out there very well scolded instead of goo mommy. No, you poor thing, don't do that again. That's wrong.
Well, let me ask you this, Gary.
We had a complete understanding that it was wrong.
Well, and it sounds like this judge kind of got the Judge Cicconetti strategy of let's make sure they never do it again. Did you ever get in trouble with the law again?
Absolutely not.
So it worked. So it was highly effective. So you were not part of that judge's recidivism rate.
Right. And then on top of that, the lying, too. Never,
Never
lied again?
I think... Well, no, I didn't say I never lied again, but I never lied as in if I got in trouble or did something unacceptable that I lied about, I'd fess up to it instead of continue the lie I might have started out, trying to sidestep it. I didn't do that. It's like that commercial with the dog. He sits there with the trash can all tore apart with a dumb look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that.
Well, Gary, you're a fantastic caller. What station are you listening on?
It's 930.
930. Gary, we appreciate you and all the other listeners out there on AM 930. Okay, you enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Yep, I enjoy listening to your show.
Wow.
You learn a lot. Okay.
Gary, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. All right, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. There was this great story I heard a pastor tell about these 3 boys who found a puppy, and they were arguing over who could get the puppy, and they were saying how they came up with a way for them to decide who could get the puppy. Whoever could tell the biggest lie was going to get the puppy. And so this older gentleman walked over to him, and he overheard this about telling the biggest lie. And he goes into this 10-minute tirade about how important truth is and how he's never lied his entire life, and how when he was brought up, if you lied, you were given these very severe punishments. And at the end of his tirade, one of the boys looked up and said, "All right, give him the dog." 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. That's your number to be part of today's show. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, along with Peter the intern, Yumika the producer, and Brian the call screener, standing by to screen your calls. 877-943-9673. Your access to the law office this week, if you want free legal advice this Saturday morning. 877-943-9673. Yeah, Gary was really a treasure trove of information there with the punishment of another family member, and then kind of giving us an example of his own life story, his own testimonial, a judge handing down a punishment and it being highly effective. So, all right, let's round out Peter the intern's list of actual Florida crimes and Peter the intern's alternative punishments. Number 7, Florida man arrested for eating pancakes in the middle of a crosswalk. All right, Peter the intern, your alternative punishment.
He should have to enter a pancake eating contest against the arresting officer, and to avoid jail time, he must win.
Okay, I don't hate the idea. Where I think you missed the beat on this one was making it a charity fundraiser, selling tickets to the pancake contest, and that way we're raising money for a police charity fund or something of that nature. I think that would be a nice angle to it. So, all right, and last but not least on Peter the intern's list of actual Florida crimes and his alternative punishments, Florida man arrested for wearing a mop on his head and, quote, terrifying neighbors with his demand for eggs. You found some weird crimes. These are the most Florida list of crimes I've ever read in my life, Peter the intern. All right, your punishment.
I said, let that man live his best life.
It's not a punishment.
I know, but
it's not a punishment.
he's just out there looking for eggs. It's like your neighbor asking you for a cup of sugar
while he's wearing a mop.
Yeah.
That ought to be your punishment for having such a bad one to end on. You're going to have to wear a mop, and I want you to walk over to your neighbor wearing a mop and demand eggs from your neighbor. And
I need eggs.
See how that goes. All right, I'm just checking your list here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So at least 3, 4. 4 of your 8 involved food, I just realized. Were you hungry when you made this list?
Sure was.
That's what I could tell that. That's how you know your intern. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. This is Attorney Patrick Smith, host of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Give us a call now, live and local. Happy to help any way we can. If you want to reach us at the law office, again, that office line, 754-6764. That office line again to schedule your complimentary consultation in Sun City Center, Sarasota, Clearwater, 754-6764. That's also good for any of the other offices in Polk or Lake County. 877-754-6764. And it's going to be interesting to see if I feel like I've given the phone number out quite a bit. Let's see if I still get as many messages about we need the office line given out more. If it's not that, it'll be give it out slower. So 877-754-6764. That's your toll-free office line. The number to be part of the show, 877-943-9673, or email me, Patrick at Attorney Patrick Smith, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. I want to do a follow-up on our upcoming Oktoberfest event, family-friendly event sponsored by Action 2000 at Indian Rocks Beach. It'll be Saturday, October 14th from noon to 6 p.m. Yours truly will be there with our booth out there to shake hands and meet people. We're going to have some special guests stopping by our booth. Mo from A Cat Named Mo Show will be stopping by our booth, along with Matt Steele from Truck U and Trucks Gone Wild. So those are some of our special guests that'll be at our booth throughout the event. That, again, will be Saturday, October 14th from noon to 6 in Cold Park, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. If you want more information, you can always reach out directly to the law office. We'll be happy to give it to you, 877-754-6764. And we are also, I believe we're still on to do a remote broadcast. So I believe we'll be broadcasting live from Oktoberfest that day. And I think we're lining up some very fun activities at my booth. So that's all still in its development. Once we've firmed everything up, we'll do some more announcements. But in the meantime, everyone look forward to coming out and meeting us at Oktoberfest, Saturday, October 14th from noon to 6 p.m. in beautiful Indian Rocks Beach. And again, sponsored by Action 2000. So 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. That's your toll-free number to be part of today's show. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. So, Peter the intern, we had another flurry of bank employee stories come in the law office this week. And for those of you who don't know, Peter the intern worked at a bank for a while, so he's our resident go-to. What do you think the bad bank advice that was given this week was, Peter? If you had to guess, what do you think the most common issue we're facing with bad banking advice?
This trust or this power of attorney isn't valid.
So it's interesting you say that, because that's actually where I was going to land this whole segment. So the general tenor of this particular interaction, what I got relayed to me, was the bank employee was saying, you don't need to put anything in your trust. These people had a trust. They said, you don't need to do that. You're going to put beneficiaries on there. All right. So they're going to put a beneficiary directly on that account. And the bank employee said, that's fine. That'll pay to that beneficiary when you're gone. And then my question to them was, well, what did the bank employee say you were going to do should you not die right away, but you're prolonged incapacitated? So that pay on death beneficiary cannot get it until you're actually dead. Who has access to the money prior to your passing if it's POD? And they followed up, and the gist of it was, well, we'll rely on a power of attorney. So you just made the statement that the power of attorney would no longer be valid. Now, in what situations do we see that, Peter the intern, where financial or other institutions will reject a power of attorney? What about the power of attorney are they rejecting?
The age. If it's over a couple of years, then most banks will be like, oh, it's too old.
So in ultimate irony news, in another matter, we had that case come in where someone said that this other power of attorney, not done by our practice, was just too old. They said, we just won't honor it. So here it was a situation where they were telling them, oh, rely on the power of attorney, but rely on it unless it's too old to be relied upon. And this kind of demonstrates our point. Number one, about only taking legal advice from licensed attorneys. And then number two, about making sure you update your documents periodically, because that power of attorney and healthcare surrogate, living will, those things should be updated periodically to show that they're still your current wishes. And I think in this scenario, that was, the point was we had set up a mechanism, this trust designed to hold these assets so that should the party become incapacitated, someone that they selected could take over immediately as successor trustee. And when they die, it will pass without any probate as well. The other thing that they could do in the trust was set up a contingency plan. So if it paid to A and A dies before them or with them, they had a plan to say, well, then to A's children. There's not often a chance to do that on POD designations. It's this person or nothing else. So maybe you have a comment on that. 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local, happy to help any way that we can. And again, I want to promote the website a little more. So if you want to check out our website, let us know your thoughts and feedback. It's very important to us. It's there for you as a resource. So if there's something, a feature you would like to see added, or a feature you really like and want to see more of, or you want us to add additional items, let us know. Check out the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, attorneypatricksmith.com. Free resource available to you. My bio information, all the office locations, podcast of old radio shows. You can submit request for appointments or booking us for speaking engagements, all available, absolutely free of charge, at attorneypatricksmith.com. Again, that website, attorneypatricksmith.com. But to be part of today's show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number to be part of today's show. So I want to go into next the recent attack on MGM. Peter the intern, have you heard about this?
Briefly, yes.
Okay. So this is according to ABC News. MGM reeling from cyber chaos 5 days after attack as Caesars Entertainment says it was hacked too. So 5 days after a cyber attack crippled operations at MGM Resorts International, including its signature Las Vegas properties, the Bellagio and the MGM Grand. The company said Thursday morning it is still working to resolve issues, as another major resort operation, Caesars Entertainment, acknowledged it was also the target of a cyber attack. You have to wonder how many others are going to be targeted by this. And whether or not it's going to be like is this the new crime wave, these cyber attacks, and how do you police that? It's going to be an interesting challenge, I think, for law enforcement, because these are highly sophisticated attacks. All right, so according to ABC News, hackers struck MGM Resorts on Sunday morning, rendering doors to the chain's casinos and hotels unusable. Slot machines and ATMs were also inoperable. Elevators were out of order. And customers had to wait hours to check into rooms. Even the company's website remains down. So it's essentially crippling MGM. And you know what's interesting is there's a art imitating reality. There's a show on, I think it's on Apple TV, called The Morning Show. And for those of you who watch the show and you're not current on it, turn your radio off for the next 30 seconds, because I'm going to give out some information that might be a spoiler for those of you. So there's an episode where their station gets hacked, and it's a really similar attack. So it was odd that in timing wise, this actually happened in the real world right as this show premiered, and just sort of the chaos that can ensue from these sort of cyber attacks. This, according to MGM Resorts' statement, we continue to work diligently to resolve our cybersecurity issues while addressing individual guest needs promptly. We couldn't do this without the thousands of incredible employees who are committed to guest services and support from our local loyal customers. Thank you for your continued patience. So here's my question. So how are you going to catch these people? I mean, how do you police this? It's going to have to require some high-level cyber security skills, and I kind of wonder what law enforcement has in the wave of that. Do they get former criminals and kind of convert them, or where do you get that talent pool for cybersecurity, Peter the intern?
They have a lot of college degrees and master's programs that handle cybersecurity and things like that, but I think they would probably just go to the FBI because it was a crime so big. Because aren't they worth, is it 39 billion that they had? That's just frozen assets that are frozen that they were going after that they took.
$33.9 billion. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
That is the FBI. I don't think that the Las Vegas police is going to handle that.
So it's interesting you say that. So the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, that's actually the agency that oversees this. It's in contact with MGM to understand the impacts of their recent cybersecurity. And by the way, to your point directly, the FBI said it is investigating the attack and has been in contact with the chain since Sunday. So stay tuned for more on this. In addition to MGM, though, ABC News goes on to say that Caesars Entertainment, which runs more than 50 resorts, acknowledged the attack occurred on September 7th for them, and they filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to give notice. The quote, according to Caesars Entertainment, Inc. recently identified suspicious activity in its information technology network resulting from a social engineering attack on an outsourced IT support vendor by the used company, Caesars said in its SEC Form 8K filing. So, all right, 877-943-9673. If you have a thought to add on the MGM Caesars attack ad or any other legal question, 877-943-9673. Caesars goes on to say, we have taken steps to ensure that the stolen data is deleted from the unauthorized actor, although we cannot guarantee this result. They go on to say, we continue to work diligently to resolve the cybersecurity issues. So, all right, so stay tuned. We'll have to keep an eye on this and see, I got a feeling if they can hack MGM and Caesars, where's it going to stop? And, this may be a new wave of national security threat. And I think that it's telling the fact that the agency governing this and monitoring this is the Department of Homeland Security. 877-943-9673 if you want to be part of today's show. 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. We're live and local. Happy to help any way that we can. Here's another great question that came up at the law office this week. And we'll start by asking it of Peter the intern, who is not a licensed attorney. I will provide the licensed attorney answer, but we just like to throw these fastballs at Peter the intern because it's fun. So, Peter the intern, what happens to your debts when you die?
They're paid, but you file. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called.
This is why this is fun, folks, because he knows it. It's right there. Notice
to creditors.
Hey,
there we go.
There you go. You just needed a little refresher. So, yeah, there's something called a notice to creditors that get filed in most probate proceedings if there's a probate action opened. And are all creditors created the same in the state of Florida?
No, they are not.
Right. There's a hierarchy to them. Who's class one? Who gets paid first?
Attorneys.
Who wrote the statute? That's right. So at the end of the day, there's a hierarchy, cost of administration or class one, and they go all the way down to, credit cards are usually towards the end of the list. And there's a procedure by which you pay these categories. And so people often don't recognize that, and they'll just start paying debts as the bills come in. But there's actually a procedure to noticing them. They file a claim, you establish their hierarchy, and, sometimes you run out of money. And that's a bankrupt estate situation. And in those situations, you have to be very careful because you need to pay them off in the hierarchical order that they come in. So paying debts is a little bit tricky. But here's the big concern. We get this call, and this was in essence, the question that we got. What happens to the debts as it relates to the beneficiaries? Do the debts become the burden of the beneficiaries of the estate, the debts of the decedent?
No.
Right. So the answer is it's a situation where with a properly administered estate, you publish the notice to creditors where there's a probate action or you follow the rules on trust administration, you can insulate your beneficiaries from that exposure, which means also if you don't do it the right way, you can possibly expose those beneficiaries. So you want to make sure you settle debts very carefully. But I think it's also, the bookends on this. You don't want to just ignore the debts. And I also think you don't just want to pay every debt that comes in because occasionally there's a fraudulent claim that's filed or one that's filed in error, and this is not actually accurate. So it's a situation you want to monitor closely, and I don't think you just want to pay the debts. We always tell clients when we're helping them, send us a copy of the creditor so we can discuss it with you directly. 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number. And let me give out the office line one last time before we end the show. If you want to schedule your complimentary consultation in the Sarasota, Sun City Center, Clearwater, or any of our other office locations, that number, 877-754-6764. Again, the toll-free office line to schedule your appointment with me, Attorney Patrick Smith, 877-754-6764. And again, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. We're with you every Saturday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. to answer all of your legal questions. So save your questions for next week. Tell a friend about us and tune in next Saturday morning. Again, the toll-free line to the law office next Saturday will be 877-943-9673. Again, that toll-free studio line, 877-943-9673. But the office line to reach us during the week, 877-754-6764, or email me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Everyone stay safe out there. Have a great weekend.
The preceding was sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. W282CI Tampa, W271CY Lakeland, W262CP Bayonet Point.
Online at letstalkfaith.com or listen on TuneIn and Odyssey.
Bill Bunkley here. Attention all pastors. I'm inviting you to attend our 20th annual Faith Talk Pastors Appreciation Day and Ministry Expo on Wednesday, October the 25th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's right. This year, we'll be celebrating 20 years of honoring you, Pastor. Admission is free, but you must RSVP in advance to secure your seat. So, pastors, register today at letstalkfaith.com, and I hope to see you there.
Cornerstone Pros. You don't allow just anyone into your home, and Cornerstone Pros doesn't let just anyone join their team. Cornerstone Pros technicians are the best of the best. Background checked, drug tested, and professionally trained to certify skills and dependability. Servicing air conditioners, plumbing, electrical, and generators. Call 813-291-0